Welcome to the Epik Mellon podcast, conversations with the real humans behind broadband networks, cybersecurity, and the future of communications. Brought to you by QA Cafe. This episode, we talk to the legendary Tim Spets of Nokia how standards truly bring people together to innovate tomorrow's technology. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Epik Mellon podcast. I'm your host, Jason Walls, coming to you from the Broadband Forum meeting in Porto, Portugal, which is really cool because it's the first time that I've been able to do one in person.
There's no walls between us.
No. Hey. Wow. Yeah, I've never heard that one before.
Never.
No, it's really cool. So I have with me Tim Spets, who is my longtime friend and colleague in standards for a very long time. Oh my God.
20
years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just found a picture actually, right? From 15 years ago.
07, right?
Yeah.
You said it was, yeah.
Yeah. 15 years ago.
Yep.
Where I looked much younger.
They all did.
So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the standards world. We're going to talk about our lives. We're going to talk about the protocols that we work on, which are really cool, which will always be a regular subject of this show, but I don't ever want people to think that that's like, it's a thing I know a lot about. So it'll come up a lot. As always, Epik Mellon is funded entirely by my employers at QA Cafe, and the views expressed on this show do not represent those of QA Cafe or its ownership. And I expect that the same goes for Tim,
Absolutely.
who works for Nokia currently.
And we took our badges off. I was leaving the badge on. But yeah.
What is your actual right now?
Digital home something.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
All right.
Don't remember, but yeah.
Tim gets paid to translate the standards world to other people and then convey their needs to the standards world effectively, right? Like I said, we're entirely funded by QA Cafe, my employers, and we have 3 great products that I like to give a little spiel about at the beginning of the show. CD Router is the first. It is the industry standard test platform for broadband gateways, Wi-Fi routers, and other customer premises equipment. CD Router contains thousands of fully automated test cases designed by networking experts, sometimes curated by people like Tim, covering feature validation, stability, certification, and performance all in one. Moreover, QA Cafe's world-class support team acts as an extension of your own, helping you understand the technologies and build better products overall. Secondly is CloudShark. CloudShark is the way to make network packet captures an easy and useful part of your cybersecurity workflows. CloudShark helps you work through tough issues together. I actually recently had a guy describe it as being, it's the title of the episode, cybersecurity is a team sport. He was talking about using CloudShark, right? Work on tough issues together without passing around large trace files, losing data, or risking security leaks of valuable information. And it helps your entry-level analysts learn from your senior experts, curate best practices, and standardize operating procedures around packet captures. Lastly, QA Cafe's Passport is a fully automated solution for testing the connectivity and interoperability of IoT and smart home devices. Testing with Passport is as simple as connecting your device, selecting tests, getting clear pass-fail results with full log data and packet captures to find and resolve bugs before they end up as a bad review of your product. For more information about QA Cafe and our products, visit us at www.qacafe.com. Okay. What the hell do you want to talk about?
Right.
Well,
I was going to say, so the disposition of this is if I'm sitting at home and we're doing this over the web, I can have a big screen over here reminding me of everything that I'm going to talk about. Don't have that now, so it's going to be.
No, this is entirely like our lives.
Yeah.
This is entirely winging it. Right?
This will be on.
But we also have beer this time, which is nice.
Yeah. So cheers to that.
Mm.
There we go.
Cheers.
No semi Elon Musk interview.
So let's roll the clock back, because when I met you, it was 2005. Yeah. It was my first. It was my first standards meeting at the Broadband Forum.
Yes.
Right.
Remember.
And so up to that point, like how did you get here?
Yeah, really. It was right after so I had like 2 lives, right? So my first 15 years of my career was at Motorola. Right when the grass was greener on the other side, I moved out of Motorola, the .com bust, everything drops, right? And I ended up at a place called Westel, which is developed. They developed router software.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, I remember.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
when. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I was there. Let's say doing management, that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. But then I started reading all the DSL because you got all the DSL reports and stuff like that. I'm looking into it, and it was just right around that time where they're talking about managed routers. It was sending a disk out. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like the old way that the people would have to provision routers, right, is they would literally send you a disk that's like an install disk that you'd run on your computer that would provision the gateway.
It would have to connect to the gateway and configure it and update it and everything.
Yeah.
So we're talking about remote management, right? And of course, the number one use case, which we were just talking about the other day, code download, right? Firmware download. How do we make this easier? We're sending out disks, everything. What are we going to do? And there was, I think it was something 068 or 07. Anyway,
64.
No, this is before all that. There was a contribution in, and he was talking about using the web to do using like HTTP, the web model. That's what it was at the time, because this is like 2004. The web hasn't been around that long, right?
Yeah.
And it was talking about doing that, and I looked at it. I go, well, if you can send this data over, why don't you just do manage? Why can't you manage over that? Right. And it was like, because it wasn't necessarily built for that.
Right.
And we had
this was way back before people even considered like regular web APIs and things like that.
It did web pages.
Yeah.
That's great. So, I saw that and I'm like, well, okay, so why can't we use that? The big thing about it was, the security was solved, right? It was, we had TLS, HTTP.
Oh, right.
So we had a secure way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was like, well, if they've already solved this, why don't we, hijack that and use that for our management? So that's what we went into. That was my first meeting in 2003 when we went in and we talked about, hey, we don't have all the logistics down, but this seems plausible, that we could do that. At the time, can we name company names?
Yeah, I think it's fine as long as it's something to be publicly knowledgeable.
I can say
anyway.
Blank Wire was another company there.
We can talk about 2Wire. It's totally fine. Yeah.
Okay, 2Wire. But they were another company there. They were coming in with a competing idea. Now, their idea was based on, I wouldn't call it was somewhat proprietary.
Yeah.
It was based on some, I don't know if
it was based on UPnP, wasn't it?
No, it was based on this, it was the Caucho Mux or something like that. But it was based on I don't know how open it was, and I know that they had taken it in, but it wasn't as open as what we were talking about, right? So, and can I mention names? That was it. Or do you want, I'm going to use initials.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you can name drop. We've name dropped before. It's totally cool.
All right. So total name drop. Barbara Stark.
Oh, hi, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
We're talking about you right now.
Yes. Yes. So Barbara Stark grabs me and the 2Wire representative, JB, I think by the back of the skull or something, and says, look, I know you two are thinking about this. I know you have competing ideas. Go over in that room and figure this out, basically, right? And so we started working together. Just him and I.
I'm going to close this door.
Yeah.
And you don't come out until you reach a solution.
Right. Well, and so what's really funny about this is you're at a time where there was no WebEx. Right. We had phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
We had phone calls, right?
Yeah.
And I remember JB, his friend had just developed like a, basically a WebEx to where I could see what he was typing. We couldn't do, you didn't have any of that.
No way. Right. Yeah. So it was like his personal app that he wrote.
It was like some, web application that he had where he, I could see him typing. So we could then kind of online hot edit, and there was a lot of, this was by no means easy, right? There was a lot of hurdles. We had, I'll put it this way. I think JB and myself were both of the opinion of we want to do this right. And you always have company influences that may or may not, make that. And I think that's what kind of set my way into standards. It was, what you learn is really, you're just trying to do it the right way.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. If you're sure your company wants to do it this way or this company wants to do it that way, but what's the right way?
Right.
Right.
Well, that's kind of what Bjorn said.
Yeah.
Right. In two episodes ago. If you haven't seen that episode, it's the one with Bjorn Iver Patigan from Domos. That's what he said, was that it's very different from the business world, but it's also different from academia.
Yes.
Because, which was a total, like, blew my mind that they have a disincentive to work together because they have to be novel to get published.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not like that in standards where you're literally, you are there to find the right answer.
Right. Well, and I've said this, you know, a thousand times, you know, when I talk about the BBF, when I talk about it, particularly the bus group and the work we've done, I said, we're the innovation of standards.
Mm-hmm.
We have innovated. We have actually brought in new stuff that neither companies are working on, that we're actually just between the people there bouncing ideas, saying this will work, that work. We've done innovation. I mean, everything we've actually done up till now is innovation.
Right.
So to say that, you know, standards, well, you know, that's just blueprinting something that's already there. No, you know, we've had to create.
No, literally. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like when, long story short, TR69 came along, helped manage people's routers, and service providers were able to do a whole bunch of stuff they weren't ever able to do before. And then 15 years later, we decided to get together and make a new version of it, which we now call USP, right? Or TR369. And it was the same. That's what we did, right?
Straight up architecture.
We're like, we are going to sit down right now.
Straight up architecture,
and
right?
we are going to figure this out.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Well, and even, you know, we all know that what we came out with, not but 8 months later, you know, we based it on some things that were currently active.
Well, there was.
Can I say UPnP?
Yes.
Well, we based it on their data model because it existed and people were using it for better for worse, right?
Yeah.
You know, it was
also the first like rudimentary data model. Justin.
Oh, he bought extras. Thanks.
No, I'm delivering this up to Katie.
Oh, you should
run upstairs. I'm gonna have a quick shower beer, and I'm gonna come back down. And this is where we're meeting, apparently.
You should bring one to Lincoln because he's down.
Before he went down.
Oh, good. Okay.
This is how standards work.
Yeah.
We're in a dungeon all day and we bring beers for each other.
Yeah. I try to explain that to people because they're like, oh, you get to travel. And it's like, yeah, but part of that travel is me sitting in a room for 10 hours.
Yeah, exactly. No light, nothing.
Yeah. Which is really ironic here because you guys can see that like it
is a beautiful day out.
It's a beautiful day outside.
Yes.
But it's been raining. So, you know, that
we couldn't do it outside.
We couldn't do it outside.
But we did it pretty close to a bar.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was good. This is where most of our decisions are made anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a really excellent point because that's actually happened. That's literally happened, right?
100 times. Yeah. Well, and it's, you know, you're getting together, you're collaborating, and you're obviously going to think of things during the day, present, do whatever, and then you're going to let it soak in. And then that night, it's like, oh, hey, you know, what about this and this? And maybe we should do this.
No. And that's been so many times that's happened that it sort of demonstrates the value of being in person.
You can't remove that element. And so I was working remote before remote was cool, right? I mean, honestly, I've been doing that for 20 years now.
Right.
And the stigma that you had to face to be a remote worker was
originally, and now it's like,
right? I mean, it was like, you know, you're working remote, you know, stuff like that. It's like, no, we're being efficient with our time. We're getting our job done. You know, work smarter, don't work longer, right? But like, as you say, there is a human element. And that's what the founders, I always think of the founders of the Broadband Forum, right?
Yeah.
You're just talking about them. It's like, they understood that. And they're like, we got to meet 4 times a year. Fun events. You think, well, you know, what is that? Boondoggles? No. It's a way for people to let their hair down.
Yeah.
Talk to each other, get to know each other. Now, when I'm having my conversation with you later, oh, you're Jason. We had this conversation, right?
Right.
And it brings that in.
So super important.
Right.
Like, so one of the things that we run into like all the time is situations now, especially pre-pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. Where companies are way more gun shy about sending people places, right? Mm-hmm. And I always wonder, you know, sort of like, you know, who are you proving? Well, who are you proving yourself to?
Right.
And it's like, who, like, as if a boondoggle is a political thing.
Yes.
Right. That's supposed to be something that politicians should worry about.
Right.
But like, who cares if you send your people to a place to do something?
Right. As long as it's getting done.
As long as it's getting done.
Right.
And it's like, cannot convey the value of this.
Right.
Like, it's just so much different. Like, you have to, and people have to be in person.
And on the opposite side, we become very efficient during the in-between times of meetings. Our online meetings are very efficient and done very well. And we get a lot of things done, right? Yeah. So it's not one or the other. It's both.
No, it's true. Right.
Right.
It's not
Right.
just, I mean, it's
Right.
It's
Because if
it's
we-
a lot of this, but it's not.
Yeah. But if we traveled all the time, we'd be wary. If we sat at home all the time, we wouldn't have that connection.
Mhm.
Right. So it takes both. So
Mhm.
I always applaud the people that came up with this in the beginning. I'm thinking, I kind of understand why they did it.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I always kind of like to give a shout out to other groups like the ITF, because the BBF is small in comparison
Right.
to some of the like
Right.
big,
They
big.
More or less set the standard. They were
Yeah.
the early standard.
Yeah.
Right. You get more than that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
So what about way back? Like you were CS?
Yes. No. All right. So the long short story, right? Technical college.
Mhm.
And I think it was Keeter that was talking about it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, because he was talking about how he went out and installs, stuff like that. And his advice to people was, get your hands dirty, right?
Right.
Get in there. He's so right. So I start in basically a call center for, so this is a long time ago. You didn't have cellular
Yeah.
at this point, right? You had, there was these things called KDT 480s. So there were these terminals, and they were just a black and, LCD screen and a typing keyboard. And IBM used it for inventory for the copier guys that would go out in the field. So they set up this whole RF network to support these guys. Cause you didn't, like I said, you didn't have cellular, you didn't have any way, to go from place to place and be connected. So they leased lines, set up base stations, set up a central controller. And you had in each, I can't remember how many there were, let's say 20 throughout the US, central controllers that were hooked up to a network. Our job was the call would come in, and we had remote diagnostics
Whoa.
that you could type into the central controller. You could run tests out to the base station, and you could see, okay, is this, you could run a loop deck test to the communicator and back and see, is the lease line going down? Is there something wrong at the base station? We could even call up AT&T or whoever it was at the time and say, hey, could you loop the loop back on your side so I can run a test? And if my data comes back fine, then I know it's not you, it's me.
Right.
That type of thing. But
Right.
anyway, I won't spend too much time there, but that was my initiation in. So you're dealing with techs in the field,
Mhm.
right? You're dispatching them out there. They're replacing boards, you're running tests, you're like, try this, try that, and you get, a smattering of different people that you're interacting with.
Right.
Yeah. So that was my start. It was in Motorola. Motorola
Cool.
at the time, they had hey, you know what? You can go to college and we'll pay for it, right?
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, all right. I was already doing, you yourself, we've had talk about this. You're already dabbling with computer science. You're already writing programs. You're already playing with it, right?
Right.
I was already,
It's awesome. The degree of osmosis, right?
yeah. You're already playing around. So like, okay, let's get a degree.
Yeah.
So, I spent 10 years to get the CS,
Mhm.
so that's what I did pretty much throughout my Motorola career. I really never coded for too long. And then, things switched over to this. And actually, since I've been out of Motorola, I've never ever, coded since then, but I had the background, had to do it,
Right.
had to do it for big projects.
Well, that's
Right.
basically how I ended up too, right?
Right.
Because I was in computer science and I enjoyed coding, but it's not something I really enjoyed.
Right.
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 Well, in a weird way,
Yeah.
because like when it works, it's really fun.
Yeah.
But, there was a lot of other stuff going on. And then when, working at the University of New Hampshire Interoperability Lab, you start learning about networking. And I was talking about with Tim Winters.
Right.
He's like, the thing about networking is that it is a very low bar to entry,
Mhm.
right? Like you
Mhm.
can get trained up pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Right.
Like it takes a lot to be an expert,
Right.
right?
But
But-
you can pick up pieces on the way, right?
Yeah.
Yep, very much.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, to your question that you've asked all the other ones, it was like networking was day one to me.
Yeah.
It was networking before networking was around, right?
Oh, yeah.
They were developing cellular,
Mhm.
Motorola was developing, and that's what, kind of launched them for the whole time I was there, was their involvement in cellular.
Right.
It was, and I was always on the other side that was doing the other things. So the next big project that I had was what was called the IDEN system, which Sprint owns it now. It's the old Nextel system, the push to talk. Yeah. So they, the big thing there was you had two-way radio, but they wanted to go to digital. It was all analog. They wanted to go to digital. So I worked with one of the chief scientists there to put it on. Who's that said frame relay? I swear someone said that in one of the interviews. But anyway, we had to put on a frame relay switch, voice pack.
It was probably Paul.
Yeah, we had to put voice packets on frame relay. So it had all these timing considerations. Like the switch had to be, so we, myself and the guy who was in charge, we had to go and we had to talk to the switch makers, find out, is this plausible? Can we do this? The first time they fired it up, we've tested in the lab before, but now you're right. It was,
right.
It was new stuff.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, after that, you had cellular. Cellular had a, what was it? GPRS, I think was called, or something. They had a data. It was called streaming data that they supported on cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
Long time ago, right?
Yeah.
We developed the first packetized data network. So I was lucky enough to be on the floor with that, soup to nuts all the way through.
Cool.
To work on that. Yeah. So it was like, what better training? I had to deal with RF, TDMA, the whole 9 yards from, here's the server to here's the base station. How are we going to squeeze this through? Because we're doing voice traffic, right?
Right.
You got to squeeze the data through there somewhere.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had to develop protocols to do that. Yeah. So that was the first part of my, like I said.
No, but that's
life.
cool because that's, the way you describe it kind of naturally, you were naturally trained to be able to go and build other protocols, right?
Yeah.
Especially in that area,
yeah,
right? Which,
it was all, and these are all ground floor protocols. These LAP-D it was called. It was built by Bell Labs, AT&T. I remember going down to the Motorola library and pulling it off the shelf because you didn't, reading the specification, right? Right?
In a book.
Yes.
Remember books.
Yes.
Kids.
Right. Right. But, but that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, you're at the, most of it was at the almost pre-internet stage, right? Where, information wasn't ubiquitous. Right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, I end up over at West Hill, and then that story starts where not too long after I was in there, I'm at a broadband forum meeting.
Yeah.
And it was before, when you're not in standards, it's getting back to what you were saying about academia, it's patents, right? And I was on patents. I understand the process, right? But when you're in this world, like I said, it's not like we're not doing something that's innovative. It's not like we're not doing something that's patentable. It's just that we're doing it under the auspice of it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's totally true. And I mean, that's built into the way things, especially at the broadband forum, because we have very good IPR policies at the broadband forum.
Yeah. Well, always have, right? Well, no, it's always been open.
Yeah.
Right. So in the broadband forum, if you have, once we develop the specification, it's open to the public.
Yeah.
And no, you've got to sign an agreement or anything. It's just out there. Open. Yeah. And that is one, I think, aspect that not all standard bodies do, right? A lot of it's licensing and stuff like that.
Right. Or you have to pay just to read it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. We'll let you read it.
Yeah. So Tim has worked for many different companies since then, to the point where it's kind of become
I should have wore all the badges.
comedy. Yeah.
Should have wore all the badges.
So what do you, how do you, because I think that one of the things that is important for the industry to hear, right? And so hopefully there's some people listening right now that have people under them that go to standards.
Right.
And, you're like, hey, why should I send you to a place why should I send you to Portugal?
Right.
What do you use? So because you've basically been in this role at all of those companies that you worked at.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
So what are they looking for? And what do you end up delivering? Like, what's your pitch, to be a standards person?
It's funny because
exclusively, right?
I actually came up with this, probably 10 plus years ago, and it's real simple. It's like, whether you want to participate or not is up to you, but service providers are going to use these standards. And if you want to be an industry leader,
I see what you're saying.
If you want to be,
right, because you've always worked for vendors,
right? Right. And if you want to be an industry leader, you need to be in there. You need to be in this process, and you need to be ahead of the curve, right? And that's a simple story, right? I mean, that's what happens with these standards. I mean, 1 billion served, whatever it is, right?
For tier 69.
Yeah. Right.
No,
it's once you think about it in a simple form, it's like, right. Why aren't you?
No, it's
Why
true.
aren't you participating?
And that's the other thing that I would say to companies that
Right.
are considering participating in standards is like, if you do, you are way ahead of everybody.
Right.
Because we have a lot of people that will just wait until something's done.
Yep. Yeah.
And
But do you want to be
right.
on the inside or do you want to be on the outside?
Right.
Or do you want to have some input? Maybe you have some good ideas. Maybe, we're not saying we have all the good ideas, right?
Oh no, we don't. And like we really have been, I've been trying to tell, like part of the reason that I want to tell the engineering story or the how you get into networking story is to convince people to get into standards, because we need more people that are willing to do work. Right?
It's like even when you're working for a private company, you're still all sitting in a room bouncing ideas, trying to, we can't all work in a vacuum. And I don't know how you are, but I know myself is, I have ideas, but I can certainly go to another level if I'm around other people with ideas, so it can bounce back and forth. I can get to that level.
Yes, exactly. Right? Like having the sounding board is so important.
Yeah.
And it can only be fulfilled so much by ChatGPT.
Yes.
I can't believe Craig just gave me so much shit.
We're taking it away from you.
No, but like for real, right?
Yeah.
Like people are very worried about, like, because obviously I do technical marketing for QA Cafe, right? And it's like people are worried that AI is going to take your job. And I was like, no. It's just use it, man. Just use it. It's a tool.
And ChatGPT is a bit of regurgitation of things that are around you. Right? It's not going to solve all your problems.
Well, I don't know. I asked it to build a protocol. Yeah.
Let's talk about. Let's see if it passes.
Yes. It was pretty good because it was like, I don't remember.
Actually, that shouldn't be too difficult with what's out there, right?
No.
It's just basing it on what's out there.
Yeah, it's like, and at some point, and it's interesting because, the matter spec is actually very good, right? And they like cover all the things. Hi, Daniel. They cover all the bases of the really, really rudimentary things that people have learned over time that everything should do.
Right.
I
mean, every protocol that I've worked on has been built on something before. Right. I mean, it really is. You had a basis. You're like, okay, they did this. Like, TCP probably the biggest one out there, right? It's like they did this, but we needed to do this and this, so let's do it this way. That type of thing.
What if we replicate TCP at the application layer? You should read the USB spec. Yeah. Cool. All right. No, that's really cool. Cause I remember, before I worked for QA Cafe, I'd interviewed for a couple companies and sort of using the standards position as leverage. It's like, I get the impression that it's maybe not well understood by everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not understood by the bean counters at the end of the day.
Yes. Right. It's this thing that they have to deal with that shows up on our
travel.
Yeah.
What are we doing? This 0.01% of our budget.
Right.
That's gotta go.
Yeah. Well, and it's even beyond that. I mean, the fact that it's in a standards organization, you're there with customers.
Mm-hmm.
You're there with everybody, right? And so it's even, we all have a marketing hat.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're doing. You all have a marketing hat. You all have a
that's a super good point.
Learn how to communicate hat.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. There's like a personality type.
If I don't know how to communicate with everybody in that room, then it's on me. Right. So I have to learn how to communicate with people. Right. There's that aspect of it.
Even Daniel has learned how to communicate with everybody.
And how you communicate with Daniel is you buy him a beer.
That's true. He does enjoy sarcasm.
Yeah. But it gives you the multi-role, right? Because you have to. And through this, I've learned about marketing, right?
Right. Yeah.
I've had to do webinars. I've had to do PDF marketing. Yep. Right. So to speak, right? You have to have all of the pieces.
We're all well-rounded individuals.
Some of us. You get to roast him on his own.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, I can talk to Daniel about a lot of things. Yeah. So one of the things that actually I was thinking of pointing out is that wherever we go, so Tim is clearly a rock star.
Today's the Striper show.
Yeah. Oh, so did you find anything here?
What's that?
Did you find any shows here?
No, I didn't.
No?
No, there was some this weekend, but
Oh, okay.
so,
Yeah. Oh, because you're
yeah.
So Tim tries to find some cool metal band everywhere that he goes.
Have to.
So, and usually is successful. And man, I
Well,
mean,
And that's another thing too. Day one,
yeah.
I don't think I had a tie, but I definitely had a collared shirt. I definitely had, this is not look at us now.
Oh yeah,
This
no.
is what we were at the
I
meeting.
was just talking about that.
That's what
About
we were at the
setting
meeting.
precedent, right?
Yes.
Like you were going to go, and this counts as everything now. Obviously, you have to like meet the cultural requirements of
Right.
where it is that you're traveling, whatever you're doing. And never mind just standards, but any sort of
Right.
meeting, trade organization kind of thing. But when you were with people that you're going to be with for another 20 years, like
Right.
set a
Right.
precedent. If you're not the kind of person that wears suits, don't.
Well,
Nobody cares.
And like, I mean, the BBF's giving away T-shirts.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a T-shirt,
Oh yeah.
right?
Right
And
now,
and
it's your closet, right?
right.
It's
It's
like,
totally involves this, but you can let your personality show through more. Right?
Yeah.
And
and people
again,
appreciate it.
it's all
People
about
want
connecting.
real people.
Right.
People want real people.
Yep.
If I had to, I was just talking about this with my wife. It was like the things I've been successful. The most successful when I've been a genuine person rather than trying to like,
Right.
Right.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
People appreciate it
Yes.
because they
Well,
see
you
it,
can sense it.
right?
You can sense it in someone else.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And they see it and immediately like half of the walls go
Yeah.
away because you're like, oh my God, you're engaging me as a real person and not a business contact.
Right.
Like,
Well, and to divulge, to split back the first, let's say 10 years of the BDF, right? It's not like there wasn't contention. It's not like you didn't have to deal with difficult people. It's not like there were times that you're just like, are you, kidding me? And so it's not all, it's taken a process a long time and a good group of people to get where we're at now.
Yeah.
Right. To where we're
which,
moving.
right. And it's been kind of curated. Right?
Yeah.
And not in the sense that we don't, that we it's not like we kick people
No.
out or anything. It's
just the way it's ended up.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of it, going back to my 20 places I've worked, is a lot of people stay with what they're doing no matter where they're at.
Right.
So that's how you end up with people that have been there a long time.
right.
But in the beginning, it wasn't that way. There was a lot of contention. It wasn't that easy.
Mhm.
It's taken us a long time to kind of get to that mold. And now it's just built into what you do, like your delivery, right? This is the most funny I've said. This is how we start out.
Right.
Right. You drop that
Yeah.
that whole guard right in the beginning.
No, right. Like
And
get
it's
everybody to relax.
But you don't underestimate the importance of doing that to new people coming in.
Yeah.
Like this week, the people coming in for the first time, they engage right away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you didn't, it wasn't a pretentious, well, we're going to talk about this and I'm going to push the buzzer if you're wrong and you got 10 seconds to do this. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Which it was very much in the beginning
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
And even other groups still haven't.
Well, because that all came from the ITU,
Right?
which with no, not giving any shit to the ITU,
Yeah.
but they're a division of the UN. So I understand why they have that level of
Yeah.
process, right?
Right. But again, it's, you and I don't notice as much because it evolved over time,
Mhm.
but somebody coming in new now versus, me coming in new 15 years ago, it's a completely different experience.
You're very right. I never really
Completely
thought of it like,
Yeah. Because there were a lot of rocky roads in there,
Mhm.
and developing all of that. It wasn't just, oh, we represented, everybody loved it. Are you kidding me? It was a dartboard and you were the board.
no, well, we regularly shoot down Tim's ideas.
That's right.
And then he comes back a couple months later and proposes it
No.
again.
Got a lot of darts in the back.
You play the long game.
Yes. You got to keep hammering it. You got to keep hammering. No, but it was definitely, think of the many times you had this brilliant idea and just like, no, we're not doing that or getting dismissed. It was not that easy. And
Yeah.
I'm sure any group that's trying to do this struggles with things like that.
Right. But so having interviewed other people so far, right,
Mhm.
about standards in particular, not the entire content of the show is always going to be about standards, but it's what I know.
It's about communication.
Tim Winters put it really well, right? He was like, it's at the ITF, it's like a roller skating rink, right? Remember his
I
analogy,
like that
right?
analogy. Yeah.
And like you're watching everybody go around, you're like, oh, wow, that's hard. But some people are like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah.
No. And again, because you've had the amount of time doing what you're doing back to 2007, as we were just talking, right? You sat in, gradually grew into the role, and you've taken that auspice of let's tear down the walls. We're here to get work done, but we're not here to hate each other. We're not here to yell at each other.
Yeah.
We're here to enjoy what we do, but get something done.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm sure any other organization, even, companies probably deal with this.
Yeah, you have to do it in companies. I hope you do,
So
like that would be my management philosophy.
but this is, as casual as we look and as casual as we talk, this is a lesson to those out there that are trying to do the same thing, that are trying to collaborate, that are trying to, bring new people in to incentivize people, because over this time, we've learned what works.
Right. Which in the end is an amazingly simple lesson in that if you treat people like human beings, they will treat you like human beings.
Exactly. Respect. Really, it's just common respect for any idea, any thought.
Yeah.
Could be crazy. Could not make any sense. But, sometimes if you probe a little bit, you'll find out that they're just not really good at communicating what they're thinking.
Right.
And that underneath that is really some good ideas.
Right.
And that's what
so you help them and you got
You're
them,
never-
which something we try to do.
Right. You never discount what someone says. You always listen.
Yeah.
And you always try to, put things in the back of your head and say, okay, well, maybe they're thinking about it in this way.
No. And I run that especially because I have very much respect for people because the standards world is mostly in English. Right. And so anyone who does not have English as their first language, trying to also,
That's my second language. I just don't have a first.
Trying to get into this.
Right.
I could never give a presentation in another language.
Think about that.
I could never do that,
Yeah.
let alone talk about technical standards in
Yes.
another language.
Yes.
There's no way I could do that right now.
Right.
So anyone who tries to do that, you have to have the immediate respect for them.
Absolutely.
Right. And they're already and then you have to have layers of personality on top of that. If they're regularly a nervous person, that's a huge,
It can be a mountain. Was it Rhonda just talking about that, right?
Yeah.
About, rules of engagement. We want you to bring ideas. We're not trying to shun you. We want, bring it forward, do your best. We will listen, right? And we will try to, move stuff forward. And that's, like I said, that's the lesson I think anybody can, learn from.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's been a fun time.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
And I think and like I said, and we've had fun the whole time, just because of friendships and that, but the meeting time, the time that we work is a hell of a lot more easier and fun than it was 20 years ago when I started, because it was the format was just different. The contention, everything, right, was just different. We've over time shifted that.
Right.
And I think hopefully now when people come in, and I think, like I say, you just, as soon as today, there are, new people in the room engaged.
Yep. Immediately.
And taking on work.
Work. No.
Yes.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. It's right. I mean, if you can get someone on week one of their meeting, we're in an airplane, right?
Yeah.
And I'm next to that. But, if you're on week number one and you can actually not only, get some thoughts across, some concepts across, but take on some of the work, some of the editorship, stuff like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And it's right. It's like I was saying before. It's like jump in.
Yeah.
People will help you. Right.
Yeah. We've all been there. Right.
I have a 3-year-old. So the entire circumstance that was going on there just now, you can hear, if you're listening to this on the audio only, these microphones, I don't know what they pick up, but I don't fault children for crying.
Nope.
Right? They're 3. They have a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, I think so the way that things always go with these things is we have 10 hours of meetings in the day, and then we all get together and we go out to dinner. So I think we're going to do that now.
Sounds like a great idea.
Cool, man. All right. Yeah. Tim's another person that I probably have on again, probably many.
Yeah. We need to do it. I'm going to go back and watch this.
You're like, no, I forgot to say. No, I forgot
this. Yes, exactly.
No, we can talk about, at some point we should talk about.
Oh, we could get into some topics.
Hey, it's Justin. You saw him. That was who was off camera moments ago.
Yes. Where's our beer, Justin? Where's our beer?
Where's our beer? Yeah, no, what was I going to say other than the fact that, at the end of the day, this is what we do when we go to dinner.
Yeah.
I was ending the show, but there was something I wanted to say and I forgot what it was.
See, that's what I was doing the whole show.
We have a ton of other stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
like,
we can many topics.
like we should, there's a lot of stuff going on with the protocols that we deal with this year that I think, are good things to talk about to get the broadband industry to understand
Yes.
what's going on.
Yes. Yeah.
When it comes to the user services platform
And why we did it. What
Yeah.
were you thinking? Right. What the heck were you thinking? Okay, this because of this, right? I mean, sometimes, you can read specs. We all do it. And it's like,
Yeah.
we can give that perspective.
No.
Right.
And sometimes I forgot why I made
Yeah.
specs.
I think, hey,
I mean, like, who wrote that?
Yeah, it
was me.
oh, crap. Sorry.
Just kidding. They're very well thought out,
Right.
very well planned standards.
And I'm going to be the first one of your guests. Yes, you do that at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
That's awesome. I like having live guests. I
Yeah.
should do them more often.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And just a couple of things I usually say. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Right now, you have the ability to hit that button down there. Or on your favorite podcast platform if you're doing it right now. And above all, own the nerdy things that you love
Own it.
and enjoy doing them. Right, Rudy?
Here's